All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. And as is our custom, let me deviate a little bit and talk about why we have a custom here. This past weekend was the 15th anniversary of 9/11. And I think we were all touched, and certainly going through the remembrance of that meant a lot to all the people here in Cobb County. As is our custom, I'm going to ask Officer Odd if he would come forward. He is here today to represent all the public service department people, all the first responders. And with that said, I'd like us all to please rise and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Officer Odd.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Officer Ott. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are here for the first time, let me give you a little insight on how we're going to conduct the meeting. The first thing that we will concern ourselves is with the consent agenda. These are applications that not only this board has reviewed, but our professional and engineering staff have reviewed, and also our zoning staff has reviewed. To our knowledge, there's no known opposition to any of these particular cases, so as we go forward, Mr. Peterson, our head zoning administrator, will read these into the record. And as he does, the applicant, he or she, will identify themselves by raising their hand. Likewise, if there's anybody here in opposition to any of these particular cases, they will identify themselves by raising their hand. And if we do have a opposition to any of these particular cases, we will pull that case and hear it in its regular numeric order. Once we complete that, then we will go into our regular agenda. There's not a whole lot on the regular agenda, but again, the process will remain the same. Mr. Peterson will read these into the record. Applicant, he or she will identify themselves. Likewise, the opposition will identify themselves. At that time, anybody that's going to give testimony, our officer of the day is Ms. Kim Wakefield. Ms. Wakefield will call you forward. You'll be sworn in, and all testimony will be given to the podium to my right. At that time, the applicant will have a 10-minute period to make their presentation to this board, and likewise and collectively, those in opposition will have a 10-minute period. So if you have more than one speaker, just be cognizant of the fact that you only have a 10-minute period. With that said, I'm going to ask Mr. Peterson if he has any special announcements. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is one case on today's printed agenda in which the applicant is asking that the case be continued. And that's variance case of V133, Satyam Patel. The applicant has requested this be continued until your next hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I believe that case falls into Mr. Gunther's representative. Skip, you want to make a comment on that?
Just that I support the continuation. I think that there's work to be done that will take place, we'll have it done by next month. So I support that.
Okay, we'll go ahead and make the motion.
I make a motion that variance application 133 be continued until our next hearing in October.
Okay, do I have a second to that? Second, Ms. Williams? No other comment? Call for the vote. Okay, that is, Dee, I need to get you up there. There you go.
Wait a minute.
This is a new system, so we're still trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure it out. Anyway, that is a 5-0 vote to go ahead and continue that particular case, V133, until our next scheduled meeting. Any other announcements, Mr. Peterson?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The following announcement concerns variance applications requesting a reduction in lot size or public road frontage relating to the official code of Cobb County, Chapter 134, adopted by the Board of Commissioners on July 28, 2015. Applicants are advised that variance applications requesting a reduction in lot size or public road frontage, which are approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals, takes the form of a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, who makes the final determination whether to grant a special exception for the requested lot size reduction or road reduction. There are 3 applications on today's agenda which this applies. They are variance application V116, Alvin G. Rains, V126, Angela Melanie Hatters, and V-127, Ryan Manette. The applicants or representatives are instructed that if the Board of Zoning Appeals approves these applications, a representative would need to be present at the Board of Commissioners zoning hearing on Tuesday, October 18, 2016, at 9 o'clock in the morning for the final determination whether the variance is granted or not. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to start the consent agenda.
Okay, let's just jump right in, John.
Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals variance hearing consent agenda for September 14, 2016. Variance case V-114, Blake Bloomquist requests a variance to allow a second electrical meter at a single-family residential lot in land lot 113 of the 20th District. The property is located on the south side of Rabbit Run, east of Cheatham Road. Staff recommends approval of the requested variance. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-114? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-115, John C. Green, requests a variance to waive the side setback for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for an existing 859 square foot detached garage from required 100 feet to 64 feet adjacent to the southern property line and to 90 feet adjacent to the east property line in land lot 327 of the 19th District. The property is located on the southeast corner of John Ward Road and Old John Ward Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to rezoning, to variance case V-115? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-116, Alvin G. Raines requests a variance to allow an accessory structure, a proposed 1,200 square foot garage to be to the front of the principal building, to waive the side setback for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for the proposed 1,200 square foot garage, required 100 feet to 11 feet adjacent to the eastern property line, and to waive the minimum public road frontage from required 75 feet to 29 feet in land lots 357 and 384 of the 19th District. The property is located on the north side of Lost Mountain Road, north of Macklin Woods Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following condition. Accessory structure not to be used for commercial or dwelling uses. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-116? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-117, Pedro A. Hernandez, request a variance to waive the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an approximately 500 square foot awning and metal shed for required 10 feet to 1 foot adjacent to the western property line in land lot 980 of the 19th District. The property is located on the south side of Stanley Drive, east of Austell Powder Springs Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to the accessory structure not to be used for commercial or dwelling uses. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-117? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-119, R. Lee Saar, request a variance to waive the rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an approximately 504 square foot garage from required 35 feet to 28 feet. Waive the major side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an approximately 342 square foot carport required 25 feet to 7 feet. Allow an accessory structure, approximately 342 square foot carport, to be to the side of the principal building and closer to the side street right away. We have the side setback for an accessory structure under 144 square feet for an approximately 120 square foot shed required 5 feet to 3 feet adjacent to the eastern property line. Allow an accessory structure, the approximately 120 square foot shed, to be to the side of the principal building, and to allow parking and/or access to the parking areas on a non-hardened or treated surface, which is gravel. And to waive the front setback from required 35 feet to 25 feet in land lot 792 of the 17th District. The property is located at the southeast intersection of Robin Lane and Clearwater Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to the site plan received by the zoning division on July 11, 2016, for the shown encroachments only. And stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-119? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V120, Rakshana Chris requests a variance to waive the rear setback from required 30 feet to 18 feet in land lot 929 of the 19th District. Property is located at the northwest corner of Citizen Circle and Brookwood Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to the site plan received by the zoning division on July 12, 2016, for the shown encroachments only, and stormwater management division comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V120? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V121, Kim Holmes requests a variance to allow an accessory structure, a proposed approximately 33 square foot grill area and proposed approximately 196 square foot bar area with covering to be to the side of the principal building and closer to the side street right of way, and the way of the rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for the approximately 196 square foot bar area with covering from required 35 feet to 14 feet in land lot 57 of the 16th District. Property is located on the north side of Jamerson Road, on the south side of Old Mill Court, and on the east side of Old Mill Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to the site plan received by the zoning division on July 12, 2016, for the shown encroachments only, and applicant to permit the proposed construction. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V121? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V122, Michael Sean Reynolds requests a variance to waive the major side setback for required 20 feet to 13 feet in land lot 224 of the 20th District. The property is located on the northeast corner of Rose Henge Way and Climbing Rose Court. Staff recommends approval, subject to the site plan received by the zoning division on July 12, 2016, for the shown encroachments only, and county arborist to approve landscaping along the modular block wall. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is anyone here opposed to variance case V122? There's one person opposed to that, Mr. Chairman, so we'll take 122 off consent. Variance case V123, Jane Williams requests a variance to waive the rear setback from required 40 feet to 25 feet in land lot 71 of the 1st District. The property is located on the east side of Declare Way, east of Woodlawn Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to the site plan received by the zoning division on July 12, 2016, for the shown encroachments only. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V123? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V124, Amy Horstman requests a variance to waive the rear setback from required 30 feet to 26 feet in land lot 474 of the 16th District. The property is located on the east side of Charmouth Court, north of Cherbourg Way. Staff recommends approval, subject to the site plan received by the zoning division on July 13, 2016, for the shown encroachments only, and stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V124? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V125, Camras Zaman requests a variance to waive the rear setback from required 30 feet to 4 feet, to waive the minimum number of parking spaces from required 22 spaces to 10 spaces, and to waive the maximum allowable impervious surface from required 70% to 95% in land lots 557 and 596 of the 16th District. The property is located on the west side of Sandy Plains Road, south of Post Oak Trick Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to the site plan received by the zoning division on July 13, 2016, for the shown encroachments only, and stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V125? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V126, Angela Melanie Khan Headers requests a variance to waive the minimum public road frontage from required 75 feet to 0 feet for track 1 and 2, and to waive the minimum lot size from required 80,000 square feet to 58,464 square feet for tract 1, and to 65,328 square feet for tract 2 in land lot 126 of the 18th District. The property is located off a private easement off Sullivan Road, located on the south side of Sullivan Road, west of Stout Parkway. Staff recommends approval, subject to the fire department comments, and plat to be reviewed and approved by Cobb County prior to recording. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V126? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V127, Ryan Monette requests a variance to waive the minimum public road frontage from required 75 feet to 0 feet, waive the front setback from required 35 feet to 5 feet, waive the minimum lot size from required 80,000 square feet to 43,562 square feet for a home off a private easement, and to allow an accessory structure, an existing approximately 120 square foot wood shed, to be to the side and front of the principal building in land lots 1185 and 1192 of the 16th district. The property is accessed by a private easement from the eastern terminus of Lindsay Place, east of Lindsay Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to the site plan received by the zoning division on July 14, 2016 for the shown encroachments only, stormwater management comments, and fire department comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V127? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V128, Sarah Dexter requests a variance to waive the rear setback from required 30 feet to 17 feet in land lot 1070 of the 19th district. The property is located at the eastern terminus of Foxhall Place, east of Santee Trail. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Site plan received by the zoning division on July 14, 2016 for the shown encroachments only. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V128? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V129, Mac McCall requests a variance to waive the length of a parking stall from required 19 feet to 17.4 feet, increase the maximum allowable impervious surface from 70% to 88%, and waive the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a proposed dumpster enclosure from required 10 feet to 2 feet adjacent to the southern side in land lot 122 of the 20th district. The property is located on the southwest corner of Ackworth Due West Road and Cobb Parkway. Staff recommends approval, subject to the site plan received by the zoning division on July 14, 2016 for the shown encroachments only. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. And Mr. Chairman, the applicant wants to add one more condition to this request right now, and that would make the opposition happy, I think. So if we let him go to the front, we'll add one more condition to it.
David, you have to go up there. David, let's do it like this. First of all, give us your name,
David White with Civil Logistics.
okay?
And
this is
here with Mac
concerning-
McCall, the applicant.
This is concerning V129, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, now go ahead and make your statement.
We've met with the adjacent landowner and with a slight modification to the site plan. They are comfortable with moving on the consent agenda. And so that change would be to move 2 of the dumpsters over towards Ackworth Due West Road to get it out of the frontage of their building, which is located directly behind Mac McCall's building, and move 2 of the dumpsters that we have where they are now just a little bit closer to the main driveway that goes through the center of the development, just to move the dumpsters away from their storefront.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, sir.
Okay. John, is that specific enough to how much more specific do we need to get with that?
Is it possible to put that on a drawing real quick, just to show kind of where it's gonna
Yeah,
go?
I've kind of sketched where it is. Is there a place that I can show this?
Yeah, can you put it up
Okay,
right
yeah.
there?
Get that gentleman, David will put that up on the board.
Okay.
And we'll put it up on the screen, and then we're gonna give you a microphone and a pointer, and you can show us what you're doing. And then we will take that and use that, make that part of the record,
Okay.
okay?
Testing. Hello. So right here, you have 4 dumpsters and an
Wait,
enclosure.
hold on a second.
sorry.
Let's get it all up. All right, now you can go ahead.
We have 4 dumpsters in an enclosure, and what we've agreed to a few minutes ago is to move these 2 dumpsters a little bit closer to the driveway,
Okay,
so that they're away from their primary building, which is located here, and then move these 2 dumpsters back over here, which again is out of the way of their building. So it would kind of clear up their storefront. And this location right here is actually lower than the road, so the grade differential between the road and the driveway would help screen these dumpsters. So that would be the change. Move these two dumpsters a little bit this way and these two dumpsters over here to this location.
John, does that satisfy you?
Yeah, and I think one thing you need to do to make it clear on this plan is put an X through those two dumpsters you're gonna delete off.
Okay.
Put an X on it.
And put an arrow which way they're going, if you would, too.
Okay.
Okay?
Is that satisfactory?
Yeah, and just go ahead and just date it now and give it to the clerk, and we'll make that an exhibit. Make it subject to the site plan, received 9/14/16 at the hearing.
That's it. Okay, Skip Gunther is the representative of that district, so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gunther at this time. Skip?
Yeah, I became aware this morning that there was potentially an issue with that, and I think that's a great solution. I guess, John, my question is, do those two moves create the need for any other variances?
I don't believe so.
Okay, well then I would support the motion that
We'll just
we,
leave it
keep this
on the consent.
agenda
Just
with
leave
the
it on the
exception
consent.
of item 3.
I just want to bring up quickly, when we were going through our conceptual review, Mr. Terry Martin brought up a requirement that the dumpsters are supposed to be behind the side projections of the building. So in other words,
Hold
this
on,
projection
wait a minute,
and this
hold-
projection?
Hold on 1 second. I got to get it up on the screen. Now go ahead. Now go ahead and show us.
this projection of the building and this projection of the building. And because we originally proposed the dumpsters in this location, and so Mr. Terry Martin asked us to move them behind the building. So I just wanted to bring up real quickly that it may require a variance to say that these dumpsters are outside of the side projection of the building. And again, here, it will encroach just outside the side projection of the building.
Very good point. John, you're the head zoning administrator. What does it look like to you now?
Yeah, it sounds like those two dumpsters moving next to Aqua Due West Road are gonna have to be re-advertised in the variance. So we're gonna have to hold this for 30 days and re-advertise it.
We have to re-advertise it?
Yeah.
We approve it subject to this site plan?
The,
If we did it subject to this site plan, with revisions, would we have to re-advertise?
the applicant's under an extreme timeline with the tenant requirements that they have in place. We'd really like to get this cleared up since we have the adjacent neighbor here. Is there any way that we could move this forward today?
John, I think the willingness of this board to go ahead and grant a variance with this dialogue that we've just gone through, I think our willingness is to go ahead and do it. Debbie Blair, is there any way we could work around this to keep this thing on track for these folks?
Sure, I think that the change is being made to mitigate the effects for the neighbor. So I think it's okay to go ahead and approve it if that's the way the board wants to go as revised.
Okay, Skip. Mr. Gunther.
I just want to make sure that there's several tenants in that building that would look onto this. And I want to make sure that all the tenants are comfortable with this change. Is that your impression?
That's my impression. I did personally meet with two of the tenants that are directly behind this building. My understanding is that the third tenant is the State Farm, the owner of that building. And the two tenants that I spoke with were okay with our plan, but they didn't sign the petition just because they didn't want to irritate their landlord. So my impression is that they are both fine with the plan.
Okay, because the two dumpsters that are going to be closest to Aqua Due West would be basically in the insurance company's front yard.
But they'll be further away from the front yard, further
Okay,
away from their
as long
storefront.
as long as you represent their fine, I'm good with that.
All right, John, again, the way this is written, are we okay, or do we need to change anything on this?
I think we're okay.
Okay.
Since it's mitigating the negative effects of the variance.
So your recommendation is to leave it on the consent agenda. I think we all agree with that. Sir, I think you made a good point. We appreciate your working with us and your help, so I think you're good to go.
Thank you all for your
If you
time.
just pass that site plan over, and I think we'll be okay with that. Just to cover bases, as Ms. Williams mentioned, should we do that site plan specific, John?
Well, how about if we make it subject to the site plan received today, 9/14/16? For the
Okay,
dumpster
okay.
locations.
Okay, let's get back to our regular business, and that would be, where are we?
Okay,
We're gonna leave it on consent. And our next one would be 130.
yes.
Okay,
Variance case V130,
Okay.
Robert Rule, request a variance to allow an accessory structure, a proposed 1,296 square foot barn to be to the front of the principal building, and to waive the setback for building used for livestock from required 100 feet to 50 feet in land lots 254 and 279 of the 20th district. The property is located on the south side of Tanner Lake Trail, east of Gordon Combs Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to sewer comments and accessory structure not to be used for commercial or dwelling uses. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V130? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V131, Sam Sakawi requests a variance to waive the side setback required 20 feet to 10 feet adjacent to the western property line and the 5 feet adjacent to the eastern property line in land lot 158 of the 16th district. The property is located on the south side of Shallowford Industrial Parkway, north of Shallowford Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to sewer comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is anyone here opposed to variance case V131? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V132, IA Lodging, Atlanta Waverly LLC requests a variance to waive the minimum number of parking spaces from required 653 to 603 in land lot 947 of the 17th district. The property is located on the north side of Galleria Parkway and Galleria Drive, east of Cobb Parkway and north of Acres Mill Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to the letter from Mr. John Moore dated September 8th, 2016. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V132? Let the record show there's no one opposed. And that completes the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman and Board.
Okay, with the exception of, is it V122, John, that we're going to hear? Okay, with the exception of V122, I'll open up discussion on any of the variances that we've just gone through. Ms. Trombetti?
I actually have an addition.
Okay,
If-
let's
if
go ahead and
that's
put
okay.
that on there.
I'd like to propose that we add V118 to the consent agenda. It was originally proposed for consent, but we had some questions and discussion. I've since talked with the applicant, so I'd like to add it back to the consent agenda if we can.
Okay, that's a form of a motion. Do I have a second? Ms. D? And then, John, we want to add that back, so do you want to read that into the record?
Yes, I'll read it in.
Thank you, sir.
Variance case V118, Windcrest Homes, ATL LLC. Request a variance to waive the side setback from required 10 feet to 9 feet adjacent to the southeastern property line in land lot 377 of the 16th district. The property is located on the southwest side of Ebenezer Road, south of Shaw Road. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V118? Let the record show there's no one opposed. And Mr. Chairman and Board, the staff would recommend that you approve V118 subject to the development and inspections comments.
Okay, at this point, we have a motion to put it back on the consent agenda. I have a second. No other discussion. I'll call for the vote. That's to be back on the consent agenda, and that, Madam Secretary, that's a 5-0 vote. Okay, now we're still back at discussion stage. Any comments on any of the cases that we're going to approve today? Hearing and not seeing anybody, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
I'm in the motion that we approve
Oh.
this agenda as presented.
Okay, I've got a motion to approve. Skip, are you going to second that?
I'll second it. I already voted.
Okay, all those in favor signify by voting. There you go. Madam Secretary, it's a 5-0 vote. Now, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that were on the consent agenda, your business is complete with us for today. You're welcome to stay, and if you leave, please leave quietly because we still have other business to conduct. So again, if you were on the consent agenda, you know what to do. Leave quietly. I notice people have their signs with them. You take them to the building down on Powder Springs Road and they'll do the refund down there.
No.
No. John, explain the signs.
Those are brand-new signs they need for the Board of Commissioners. here
Okay, you
next
need
month.
board signs. Okay, very good. The Sullivan Road people, nice to see you here. Good luck. Thank you. Leave quietly. They're new signs.
I'm
That-
glad that one lady wanted to hear her case showed in
Or what?
her tennis cards.
All right, Mr. Peterson, I guess we are going to hear case V-122.
Yes,
As our good people are leaving quietly, do you want to go ahead and read that into the record, please?
yes. Variance case V-122, Michael Sean Reynolds. Request a variance to waive the major side setback from required 20 feet to 13 feet in land lot 224 of the 20th District. The property is located on the northeast corner of Rose Henge Way and Climbing Rose Court. Earlier, there's one person opposed. The applicant's representative is present. All those wishing to address the board, please come forward to be sworn in.
Anybody that's going to give testimony, please come forward. Ms. Wakefield will get you sworn in. Okay, at this time, we'll have the applicant come forward and his representative. All right,
Good morning. My name is Doug Patton.
and Doug, before you go any further, let the other gentleman just introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Michael Sean Reynolds.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
I'm here today because I prepared the variance application in regards to the request to build a pergola over an existing patio. The way the Cobb County ordinance reads is, after my conversation with zoning, is that we could actually build a 10 by 10 pergola without having to seek a permit, but this existing patio is larger than that. And because of its configuration on the side of the home, based on the topography of the lot, and this is a corner lot, as you can see, and the house is shaped and positioned directly to the intersection, of which is standard for most subdivisions with this type development and corner lot. The rear of the lot back on, which would be considered next to Lot 7, has a 25-foot rear setback line, and that has some topography issues where that goes, there's a small backyard, but then it goes uphill. The existing brick patio and modular wall were installed previously prior to our involvement, and when we did a survey on it, what you see is the existing conditions of the site as it sits today, with the exception of the proposed pergola. The pergola is to match a portion of the existing brick patio, is going to extend in a triangular shape over that setback line, of which is the reason we come in with the application for a variance. To do it correctly is what we stand for, so that's why we have submitted, instead of building two 10 by 10s beside each other, we're building one continuous pergola, which puts us in the application for a permit. The applicant has received, and we have that witness here, a permission from the current HOA and its board and president to build this pergola, and has also received signatures from adjacent property owners that would have a visual, view of this on a regular basis. So we respectfully request that you allow us to be granted this variance.
Mr. Reynolds, do you want to add anything to that?
Thank you. The only thing that you don't have, that I have now is pictures that my landscape our architect has come up with, so I'd be happy to show them to
I
you.
tell you
if
what,
want.
if you give it to that young man right there, he'll put them up on the board for us, and we'll all be able to see them. And we'll give you a microphone, and you can explain to us what we're looking at.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, go right
All
ahead.
right. So currently, this tree is already here, and some of this is already here. What we're going to do is put these big trees right here, and they actually have names. A magnolia, some kind of a little. I can't see what that says, but little Jim
They look
Magnolias
pretty. I don't
here.
need names. They look
Okay,
pretty.
sure. Well, this is the top-down view.
Right.
If you wouldn't go to the next page, right directly after installation, it will look like this. And this is the street view at installation. As you can see, it begins to hide significantly from the street the view of the pergola. 5 years after installation, this is what the landscape architect said, that this is what we can expect. And again, these are computer-generated models, but I mean, he's been doing it a while, so I'm going to assume he knows what he's talking about. But that's what we have here. So that's a literal view. I mean, barely seeing any of the pergola. This right here is the side view, a little bit further up as you go closer to the front of the house. Side view at installation, you can see the same trees right there. And at 5 years, you can see how they fully grow and then almost obscure it within 100%. You know, that's for privacy. That's to follow the ARC's recommendation. And just so you know, I've been in communication with the ARC the entire time. I am more than willing to take whatever recommendations. If we put this up and they want more, I'll put more in. I'm not concerned about that at all. Also, my wife and I, through the whole entire process, have been posting on our HOA Facebook page from the beginning of this project what we're wanting to do. There has been very little opposition. And right now, it seems the general consensus that people are excited. It's definitely an improvement to the neighborhood. It's going to look phenomenal. It's quite expensive, but I mean, that's basically, I guess, all I wanted to say.
Okay, anything else either one of you want to add to it?
Yes, I would like to point out, and it's fairly obvious, but I want to make sure it's verbalized, is the fact that this patio is already there. So the use and the people in that area exist already. The pergola itself is really just to provide shade for the use of that patio.
Okay, just one other question off the top of my head. Well, it's not question time. Anything else you want to add to your comments? Okay, if you will just have a seat, and at this time we'll hear from the opposition.
I've got a
You
written
got to
statement.
start off with your name.
Christopher Glenn.
Pardon me?
Christopher Glenn, but I go by Chris.
Chris Glenn. All right, Chris, tell us.
I've got a sort of written statement here. We oppose the variance V-122 because it violates the Cobb County Code of Ordinance and the hedgerow subdivision covenants. This house is on the corner lot with 2 front yards and is therefore held to a higher standard. The location of the project is not a hardship of topographical nature, as the homeowners claim, but rather a preference of the homeowners. This project clearly is able to be placed in the backyard rather than side yard and faces the street. The homeowner preferred to violate the Cobb County Code of Ordinance and the hedgerows covenants for their convenience of walking out the recently finished basement. They already installed an 850 square foot patio, which July timeframe is very new. And added a fire pit, and as well as required excavation. The same process would be required if it was done in the rear of the principal structure. They plan to cover the patio with the fire pit with the pergola mentioned in the variance, also add a jacuzzi. You can clearly see a conduit in the pictures of their plans to include a jacuzzi. The jacuzzi, however, was not mentioned in the petition neighboring homeowners who were asked to sign. The county should not approve the variance for the following reasons. Our covenants, Article 7, Section 9, states that it prohibits structures outside of the government required setback. Therefore, the rest of the variance is prohibited by our covenants. In our covenants, Article 1, Section 14, a structure shall mean and refer to, among many other things, covered and uncovered patio. Their newly built patio is also outside the setback and is prohibited. Since they've requested the structure to be attached to the home, it is considered an addition which requires a Cobb County engineer inspection of the foundation, which has not taken place. A jacuzzi is not to the rear of the principal building is not allowed per Cobb County Code of Ordinance. A fire pit that is not to the rear of the principal building is not allowed per Cobb County Code of Ordinance. The Hedgerows Architectural Review Committee approved the project by mistake, as they do not have jurisdiction to approve projects that are less restricted than the established plat. Additionally, they are not well-versed in Cobb County Code ordinance. For these reasons, we don't believe the variance V-122 should be approved as it compromises the integrity of Cobb County zoning ordinance and violates Hedgerow subdivision covenants and sets precedents for future violators.
Okay, Mr. Glenn, anything else you'd like to add to that?
I've got exhibits A through F that kind of shows the property, the
Okay.
layout, and some of the pictures.
Go right ahead. You have.
Okay, so Exhibit A, Section 1, Section 14 of Hedgerow's covenant structure definition.
Now, wait, whose structures, covenants, who, tell me who that is?
Hedgerow's subdivision covenants.
Okay. Now, understand, the county does not get involved in any covenants of any homeowners at all, period.
I understand.
Okay. Go right ahead.
So if you want to just go to some of the things that are more concerning to the county, if you can go to Exhibit C. There's a fire pit on the side, which Cobb County requires all fire pits to be to the rear of the property.
Okay.
If you notice in that picture, there's a conduit that's coming up that was put in place to support a jacuzzi in the future, in which the arbor that or the pergola that they're requesting is going to shade.
Okay.
This is the backyard of the house, showing that there's plenty of room for them to have put their project in the backyard.
Okay.
And this just an overview of the house itself, in which clearly shows the lines for the county, in which they had plenty of room in the back to put this structure.
All righty, sir. Glenn, anything else you want to tell us?
I think that will cover it.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak in opposition to case V-122?
Thanks.
Hearing and not seeing anybody, it's back to this board. Mr. Skip Gunther represents that particular district, so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gunther for his comments. Skip?
Okay. My first reaction was the proposed addition would properly landscaped, and I've seen, we've all seen the landscaping proposal, would be a great enhancement to how this house looks from the road. I guess I have a couple questions. If the applicant, Doug, if you could come back up, I'd just like to ask a couple questions. First one has to do with, is there a fire pit that's planned to be part of this?
The fire pit that showed in that picture was not there when we did our as-built, so I can't answer that question. The client will have to answer it. It looked to me like just
come
a
on up.
stack of bricks that creates a fire pit.
I did not, Doug did not know about that, but I honestly didn't realize that it was an issue. I looked at the rules under the Cobb County, and it appears that what I found for how do you say that? Applicability, sorry, is that it only applied to recreational fires that use logs, meaning that, that the particulate could get in the air and land on the roof and catch fire. But it clearly says that recreational fire means an outdoor fire which only logs or clean wood are being burned, where the fuel is not contained in an incinerator, outdoor fireplace. And it also says that propane and natural gas are not included in that.
Okay, if you could just stay there. John, I have a question for Mr. Peterson. Is there an issue from a Cobb County point of view with respect to having a fire pit right there in that location on the side of the house?
There could be an issue with that, but if it's part of the pergola, then I think it'll be okay, if it's inside the pergola.
Okay,
And just to clarify that, John, would the fire marshal control that?
They control certain aspects of it.
And as they go through plan review, they will look at it?
No.
They will not? Okay, but they do have control over certain aspects, okay.
will this continue to go through plan review?
It would have to go through a review through our structural department for the pergola, how they actually build that.
Could we specify that the fire department weigh in
Yeah.
as part of that process? Okay. Okay, my second question is there a jacuzzi plan to be there on that site?
I would like to put one there eventually. I've not installed anything yet. I mean, I'd like to do a lot of
So you have
things.
the plumbing ready?
No, there's no, it would be a self-contained unit. Literally, you put the water hose on, fill it
Gotcha,
up with
okay.
water. I would have to get an electrical permit to run the power to it, but there's no plumbing required on it.
Okay, then I'm going to go
But it's
back
portable,
to,
you can move it.
I'm going to go back to John Peterson. John, is there a zoning issue with respect to a jacuzzi?
As long as it's
being-
within the pergola, then I think it's okay.
Okay. Okay, then I'm ready to make a motion.
All right, I see this young lady and you have been sworn in. Okay, if you would, give us your name, please, first,
Elizabeth Reynolds.
and tell us what you want to say.
The only thing I just want to make sure it's clear that this is not a fire pit that is burning wood. It is using propane. So it's a heating source if so, somewhat.
Can you put marshmallows? Can you do marshmallows?
We won't be. We won't let the kids do that.
Well, I guess I won't get any
Have a
s'mores
It
at
might
your
have a little
house.
flavor to it.
Okay, Mr. Gunther is finished
Yeah.
with his questions. Anybody else have questions? I do. Mr. Reynolds, you showed us the landscape architect pictorial of what it's going to look like. Would you tell us who that individual is? Who's your landscape architect?
What's the name?
Lawn Masters.
No.
That's a relative.
All right. Oddly enough, it's her brother. It's my brother-in-law. His name is Brock McDaniel. He is the landscape architect for the Sumter, South Carolina.
Okay.
He's that guy, and he's going to come and help. We're going to make it a project.
And that's great. I just want to get that on the record. He's a registered landscape
Yes,
architect.
sir. He is he is a registered landscape architect.
And that weighs a lot and means a lot. It's just like when a surveyor presents a application to us, once he stamps it, puts his approval on there, he's putting his reputation on there.
Yes.
So I wanted to get that into the record and make that clear. Any other questions for this gentleman? Okay, Skip, I'm back to you then.
Okay, I'm ready to make a motion. You can all sit down, that's fine, thank you. I make a motion that we approve variance application V122, subject to all staff comments, subject to a landscaping plan to be approved by the county arborist, which I think is overkill in this case, but still, we should do that. And subject to an appropriate fire department review. How should I word that? Okay, to an appropriate fire department review of the planned project. That's my motion.
All right, I've got a motion. I've got a second by Ms. Williams. That's a good motion. We are certainly going to make them jump through a bunch of hoops, but it's all okay. We're going to get it
I
done.
think it's going to really look nice when it gets done.
Got a motion, got a second? No, I already have the second. Any other comments? Not hearing a call for the vote. All in favor, signify by voting. And David is way behind. David's holding us up. There I go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's a 5-0 vote, and for that, we're all grateful, so it's approved. I guess I'll be there with the s'mores in my hand at the future date. All right, is there anything else to come? Oh, yeah, there's a couple of things. Let's just finish the board up. I have a minutes from August the 29th and also the September the 12th meeting. I'll entertain a motion on those. Second, all those in favor signify by voting. Here we go, all again, 5-0. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes our business for the month of September in God's year 2016. Thank you.